Hi, hello, welcome to all. In this video, we are going to discuss about tax invoice, credit note, debit note related test your knowledge questions. In that first question, what is there in first question? Jai, a registered supplier, runs a general store in Ludhiana, Punjab. Okay, some of the goods sold by him are exempted goods. So he is selling some exempted goods. Okay. Next, where has some are taxable. So he is providing both exempted and taxable supplies. Next, you are required to advise him for the following issues. So we are required to provide the about there are some issues for that person, or we are going to advise him. So okay, what is the advice? What is the first issue? Whether J is required to issue tax invoice in all cases? No, because tax invoice is only for supplying taxable goods. When you are providing for exempted goods, then you will require to provide bill of supply instead of tax invoice. That is our advice. Next, second question, second issue. J sells some exempted as well as taxable goods valuing 5,000 to school students. He is mandatory to require issue two separate GST documents. So he is providing both taxable as well as exempted to an year for whom he is selling that school students. So they are unregistered person. So he may issue one invoice, that is income, that is invoice come bill of supply. Invoice come bill of supply he may issue for this purpose. No issue. So one invoice for, because they are providing for unregistered person. School children will not be a registered persons. That is our advice. Next, third issue. What is the third issue? Jay wishes to know whether necessary to show tax amount separately in the tax invoice issued to the customers. So as and when you are issuing the tax invoice, you must show the tax amount in separately. It is advice number 3. Okay, we provide our question number 1. First answer, no, he is not required to issue tax invoice in all cases. As per section 31.1, every registered person who is supplying taxable goods is required to issue tax invoice. Only the person who is supplying taxable goods, then he is required to issue tax invoice. And as per section 31.3, C stipulates that every registered person supplying exempted goods is required to issue bill of supply instead of tax invoice. So registered person supplying taxable goods, then he is required to issue tax invoice, and registered person who is supplying exempted goods is required to issue bill of supply. Further, Rule 46A provides that registered person supplying taxable as well as exempted or services are both to unregistered person to whom unregistered person may issue. It is not compulsion here. It is may issue single invoice come bill of supply for all supplies. This is the provision. So however, as per section 31.3b, read with rules. A registered person may not issue tax invoice if where the value of goods supplied less than 200 rupees, it is not required to issue invoice. Next, the recipient is unregistered person. If the recipient is unregistered person, then he is not required to issue tax invoice. Next, and the recipient does not require such invoice. Here the and condition for second one only, that is a recipient must be unregistered and it does not require invoice. If any person, even though he purchased 100 rupees, if any person asked for GST invoice, then you must provide GST invoice, tax invoice. Next, instead of such a registered person shall issue consolidated tax invoice for such suppliers at the close of each day in respect of all supplies. So for whatever less than 200 rupees is there, you should not issue single invoice. At the end of the day, consolidate all the invoice, all the amount of tax invoice, and issue one all supplies. Consolidated tax invoice will be issued for total supplies made for that each day. Next, our advices. What is the advices? As per rule 46A, first of all, where a registered person is supplying taxable as well as exempted or services both to unregistered person, a single invoice cum bill of supply may be issued for all supplies. Thus, there is no need to issue tax invoice and bill of supply separately to the school students who is a unregistered person and in respect of supply of taxable and exempted goods respectively. That is question number 1 lo second advice. Third advice, as per section 33, where any supplies is made for consideration, where every person who is liable to pay tax for such supply shall predominantly indicate all documents relating to assessment, tax invoice and other like documents, the amount of tax which shall form part of price at which such a supply is made. So, as per rule 46M, whenever you are issuing a tax invoice shall contain the various particulars like name, amount of tax charged in respect of taxable goods or services, that is central tax, state tax, GST, union territory or cess. Hence, J has to show the tax amount separately in the tax invoice issued to the customers, As per section 33, what is there? Wherever you are taking consideration, for supplying consideration, you are required to pay tax for such supply, then you are required to predominate all documents relating to assessment, tax invoice or other documents and should form part of price at which supply is made. And as per rule 46, tax invoice must to contain some information related to particulars and name of the person and taxes whatever taxes is charged. That is question number 1, third point. So, hence Joy has to show tax amount separately in the tax invoices issued to the customers. Next, the second question. What is there in second question? Avatar Enterprise, Kanpur started trading exclusively in Ayurvedic medicine from July 1st. Its turnover exceeds 40 lakhs on October 3. So, he is in a Kanpur. So, he is exclusive in Ayurvedic medicines from July 1st. Okay. His turnover was crossed 40 lakhs. Okay. Next, the firm applied for registration on October 31st and was issued registration certificate on November 5th. He applied on 31st October and registration was got on November 5th. Examine whether any revised invoice can be issued in the given scenario. If the answer to the first question is in affirmative, determine the period for which the revised invoice can be issued, also the last date up to which same can be issued. So, he got registration on November 5th. From November 5th to 30 days. He may issue for revised invoices. So, within 30 days of registration. Here, first of all, effective of registration became whenever he has applied. If he has applied within 30 days. Next, as per section 31(3)(a), a registered person may within 1 month from the date of issuance of certificate for registration issue a revised invoice against the invoice already issued during the period beginning to the effective date of registration till date of issuance of certificate to him. So, wherever a person registered and he may have an option to issue tax invoice for whatever the invoices issued during the liability of his registration. Next, further rule 10(2) lays down that registration shall be effective from the date on which the person becomes liable to registration, where the application for registration has been submitted within a period of 30 days. If he has submitted within 30 days from the such date, registration shall be effective date from where the effective date will apply from. If he applied within 30 days, then liability, when he get the liable for registration, that will be effective date. If he is not applied within 30 days, then the effective date of registration will become as and date when the registration certificate got. Next, in the given case, Avatar Enterprise has applied for registration within 30 days of becoming liable for registration, and registration has been granted. Thus, the effective date of registration is the date on which Avatar Enterprise becomes liable for registration, that is October 3rd. And therefore, since the given case there is time lag between effective date of registration October 3rd and date of granting of certificate of registration November 5th. So, in between any transaction is happened, revised issue invoices can be issued. The same can be issued from supplies made during this intervening period. For the period of beginning, whenever he got the registration with October 3rd till November 5th, up to is getting the registration certificate. From 5th November to 30 days will be time period for issuing the revised invoice. Further, the revised invoice can be issued for the said period till be December 5th will be the time limit. This is related to revised invoice concept. Next, question number 3. What is there in question number 3? Discuss the provisions relating to issue of an invoice document in the following circumstances. So, they are provided following circumstances. For that circumstances, we are required to, which invoice required to be provided? We will provide. Okay. First, advance payment is received against a supply, but subsequently no supplies are made. So, you are issue the receipt voucher for which you have you are get the whenever you pay the advance amount, you will receive the receipt voucher. But subsequently, if you have not make any supplies or no tax invoice is there, then you are required to issue a refund voucher. Refund voucher will be issued for first case. Next, goods are sent on approval basis. Goods are sent on approval basis for sale or return and are removed before supply taken place. As per section 31(7), where you are send the goods for sale on approval basis, there is a time limit that invoice shall be issued before or at the time of 6 months from the date of removal or expiry of 6 months, whichever is earlier will be taking. That is time of supply. If you issue the invoice or 6 months is expired, then that date you will require to issue the invoice. Next, third case, Mr. Mohan provides continuous supply of services to his clients, where the due date of payment for such services is not ascertainable and no advance has been received in this behalf. So, whenever you are providing continuous supply, the due date of payment is not ascertainable, then the invoice is received as and when before or at the time when the supply of service receive the payment. When the payment is received, then the due date will be that date. Where the due date of payment is not ascertainable from the contract. If you are not ascertainable, then invoice shall be issued before or at the time of when the supply of service receive the payment. That is the third case. Question number 3, answer as per section 31(3)(e), where advance payment is received against a supply for which receipt voucher has been issued, but subsequently no supplies are made and no tax invoice is issued in person therefore. So, then you must issue the refund voucher, may be issued to the person who has made the advance payment. So, if you issue the refund voucher, you will get the refund amount. Next, as per section 31(7), where the goods are sent on approval for sale or return and are removed before supply taken place, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time of supply or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So, here we are issuing invoice, and in first case we are issuing refund voucher, and third case as per section 31(5)(b), in case of continuous supply of service where due date of payment is not ascertainable from the contract, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time of when the supplier of services receive the payment. This is related to debit note, credit notes related invoices related questions. and in here we may, as per section 31 will be, in first case will be 3 cases was provided which invoice has to be issued. In first case, invoice will be issued, all the cases taxable invoice will be, tax invoice will be issued, only taxable goods supplies, and remaining cases bill of supply will be issued. And if you are providing both taxable and exempted, then bill come income, invoice come bill of supply will be provided if the person is unregistered person, and invoice is not required in some cases, that is if it is a amount less than 200 and recipient is unregistered and recipient is not required, and here only the consolidated tax invoice will be issued at the end of the day, at each day. That is first case. And second case will be which is provided that certificate of registration. From certificate of registration, if you are liable for registration, if you got the registration within 30 days, and from 30 days after getting the registration from the effective date, from the date of registration certificate, within 30 days you can revise any issues if you are obtained the invoices in between of liable for registration to registration of certificate. That is second question. And third question will be which voters will be required. In first case we required to issue refund voucher, in second case we are required to issue invoice date will be as and when supply takes place, or at the time of supply, or 6 months from the date of removal. Or in third case, when you are continuous supply, if you are not ascertainable for to conduct the duty of payment, then invoice shall be issued before or at the time when the supplier of service receive the payment. This is related to these cases.